Right, Tony, it doesn't seem that long ago that we're sat here with all the optimism of a new season. Pre-season had gone well, and now here we are, bottom of the league, 60 feet on the bounce. What's going wrong?
Yeah, we're struggling at the moment, or we have been, and we're disappointed with where we're sitting, and we're disappointed with some of our results as well. Where, like everybody, it hurts, and we take a lot of pride in what we do and our jersey and our and our livelihood as well. So yeah, it's not as planned as yet, but it's probably knocked out one of our goals, and that's the retention of the league leaders. But as far as any of the other goals, there's still a possibility in our minds, and we're certainly striving towards those. So whilst it isn't pleasant, it's something that I think most sports people and most sports teams go through at some stage of their careers, and it's the way we handle things, and it's the way we're going to work our way out of it that will make us better and stronger as a club and as a team in the future. We've got some young people who probably haven't experienced some of this sort of adversity before, and it's important for us to learn how to deal with it when it comes around, and make sure that we handle it in the right way and work hard to get out of it. And that's the only way to get out of when you're lacking some confidence and lacking some fluency. It's about working harder, and that's I can say that's what the players are doing. They're working harder. We're all striving to turn our season from where it is now to where it can be, and I'm sure, and they've got faith, and I've got faith in the players as well to do that.
Would you say confidence is the key word in all that?
It becomes part of it. Yeah, that's for sure. And there's many things that can affect your confidence as well, and some of that's some form, personal form as well as team form, and some situations that we've been in and that we haven't handled well, then affects your confidence. And then when you're making some basic errors, and that's where we've probably been guilty. If we were playing a type of rugby league that was over the top and too fancy, or or too open, and you could probably be justified in saying, oh well, we're trying to be too expansive, but it's some of the basic things like hitting up to play the ball that are affecting us, and going down in tackles, and whether the ball's been ripped out or not, we've got to hang on to the ball because we're not getting the decisions that that we feel we should be getting at the moment because we're not playing well, and some of the penalties that and listen, when you're not playing so well, you can't afford to do make some of those errors and mistakes. When you're playing well, you can soak those up and you can live with those and overcome them. But some areas of building the game that we need to get into, and we need to build our game by applying some pressure to our opponents, kicking well, getting down to our opponent's area and not giving away a penalty and making it easy for them to get up and put pressure on us. So there's some of those aspects that just aren't flowing for us at the moment, but there's only one way for that to happen, and that's by sticking together and working hard.
But it's not going to get any easier because next up's Hull, and they're flying up near the top of the league.
Yeah, no, well, it wouldn't matter whether it was top of the league or second to bottom. They're all tough. They're all, all the teams are, anybody can beat anybody on any given day, and I think that's, part of where we find ourselves as well. If you're not quite on your game, that you're going to get beaten by whoever. But I don't think there's a greater fear about top of the table than any others. They're all important. They're all important to us, and there's not much between any given team on any given day. But they're a good team at the same time. I'll also say, I think that's a positive for us that we go and perform well against a good team like Hull, who are sitting where they're sitting, and it gives you a whole lot of confidence. And I think that's actually the case for St Helens. Really, I think. A few weeks ago, they're probably making as many errors, if not more, than us, and playing very similar to us. And then they come up against Hull and had a really solid performance. They got beaten that day against a good Hull team on that day, and it was a good contest. But from that, I think they took a whole lot of confidence, and then went and performed well against Catalan, and then put out a solid performance against us. So, I think by turning up and performing well against Hull could be a really big bonus for us and a big plus and just what we need in terms of confidence to get us going.
What's the state of injuries in the camp at the moment?
Improving greatly. We're getting a few troops back at the moment, which is really a big bonus, and that has an effect on what we can do in training, even, and the type of training that we can put on. But the latest to return was George King. He's back in the fold this week, and he's a player that played a number of first grade games for us last year, and he's been training really well actually. So there'll be a temptation to give George a run out there, as well as the big surprise is Ryan Atkins, who strained his hamstring a couple of weeks ago, and he's been able to function very, very well in his rehab, to the point where he's been out there running, and he's actually done a couple of days training, which is a surprise to the physios and Ryan and the coaches as well. So
because you were looking at that as quite a long-term injury at one time.
5 weeks was the first call or prognosis of it, and he may well be back way sooner, and maybe even as soon as this weekend. So there'll be a temptation there as well.
What's the situation with Deck Patton these days?
Yeah, Deck's played reserve grade the last couple of games. Deck's probably struggling for consistency in form. He's able to produce some patches of very good, and probably some areas of concern that he probably showed in first grade as well, such as kicking balls out on the full, and some of his defensive technique and efforts probably not to the standards that we need, and he knows that. He knows he's back there working hard on some of those areas of consistency. I think the fact that he did some nice things was good for him, but he needs he knows he needs to be more consistent in those areas, and not kick balls out on the full at crucial times in games, and that can swing games around. And he's going through some of that learning process, as well as just as a young person, knowing what's needed and what sort of consistency is needed to be a regular in first grade. So, but he's fine with that. Deck, he understands, and he works closely with the coaches about those sort of things. So yeah, hopefully we'll see him back in first grade in the next little while. But at the same time, we've got two pretty experienced halfbacks in there at the moment that need to be performing well, and should be performing well over the next couple of weeks, along with stepping back at fullback there now.
You've had difficult times in your coaching career before, with runs of defeats at Huddersfield, but it's quite unusual while you've been at Warrington. How's the pressure affecting you personally?
It's part of the job. It's I don't think about the pressure of it. That's just how it is each and every week, of whether you're winning or losing. I think when the team's performing well, the less the coach has to influence the team. I think when the team's not doing so well, that's when the coach needs to have a greater influence and help educate and help rebuild confidence, and help find the right structures to put in place for when people lose some form and need to rebuild it. And so I think certainly the workload and the amount of time that's put in increases, but in terms of pressure, coaching isn't the only pressure that's on, or the greatest pressure that's on is by each coach on themselves, really. There's no far greater expectations of our team than what the coach puts on in terms of performance and standards that we try to live up to. And when they're not fulfilled, certainly I'm the one that will go away and try to come up with the best solutions, also with the quickest solutions as best we can. But sometimes you know, the harder you try, and this is how it is with some of our players. At times, there's no lack of effort. There's probably some lack of form, but sometimes it's the way in which we try to get out of it and try to come up with the big plays, or a little bit of instead of just being steady and building, form back up again. So yeah, there's frustration there for all involved, but it's about keeping sensible and calm and working it all through and having confidence in yourself to be able to deliver that and deliver that again. So that's all part of it. The psychology of it is enormous for the coach to work with the players to help them sort this through, and sometimes experience it helps you deal with those sort of situations, and until you experience it, you don't know how you're going to handle those sort of situations. So yeah, it's a learning curve for some, and every situation is different. And just because I've experienced it elsewhere and in other occasions in other ways doesn't necessarily mean it's all the same. Different situations, and there's a lot more situations in each occasion that comes along, and it's specific to each individual team that I've been involved in. So you've got to treat it that way too. The unique in each one. But I think people would like to think it's just one thing, and if we fix that well, then it all clears up and we'll be fine again. It's usually a culmination of a number of little things that culminate in some big things. But we all have it in every part of our society, in our working lives, in professional and personal lives. There's ups and downs, and we'd like to think that we don't, but it does. And we'd also like to think that it doesn't happen to our sports people. But there's some things that happen in their lives that go on around them that do have an effect on them. They're not immune to some of those human situations. I know we'd like to think so because we support them and they bring us so much joy, and we'd like to think that they're superhuman, but they're human beings that struggle and suffer with some personal things that go on within their lives that knock their confidence as well.
Do you think there will be many changes in the personnel for the Visitors Hall at the weekend?
In terms of our team?
Yeah.
Just a couple we mentioned there. George is a consideration there, and Ryan Atkins. So no, there won't be mass changes by any means. I wouldn't feel. We made some progress last week. I thought there was some progress in some aspects of our defence. Having said that, we weren't pleased with the number of points that St Helens scored, but I've got to say a few of their kicks were exceptional and right on the money, and did hurt us. But at the same time, I think defensively we made some good strides there. So we need to keep improving in that area. That's for sure.
Okay, Tony. Well, thanks for your time as always, and good luck at the weekend.
Thanks, guys.